Is there anything like anything like that, that relationship building or other things that you've learned from your time in investment banking that you use in your practice or just in your general life today?
Gosh, that's a good question. I mean, look, I'm sure there are, so it was an outstanding time in my life and time that it was right for me to be there. I loved it. And something that I learned from it about myself more so is I really like to work in a way that's dynamic. I like to work in a way where the days are unscripted. So when I turn up, I don't really know what the day's going to have, but I get to respond to it and meet it. And so I like to work in a way that's quite stimulating that way, in that dynamic respect. Realize that I work best when I have a lot of autonomy rather than being told what to do. So I always ended up going for ended up, I didn't know this at the time, but the roles where I really excelled and roles that I loved were where it was a blank slate. And I got to, within the parameters of what was expected of that role, just decide how it would be played out. So when it comes to, career now as an executive coach, same thing plays out. When I sit down with a client, I'm not starting a session with them in any scripted way, have some vague ideas about been talking about these things. It might be helpful to now move in this direction. But that's a very loosely held plan because I really have to be so present in the moment to whatever's coming at me. And it may just be that they've had something completely unexpected unfold in their world. And so I'm meeting them in that moment of, wow, okay, what is this? We need to look at this and what is happening for them and what might be the best responses that they can make. So it's extremely dynamic. So learned that even in the world of investment banking, stockbroking, and even when I was a research analyst, I love deep thinking. I loved being an analyst. I loved exploring, love relationship building. Like I actually really do love it. So that carries into what I'm doing now. Like I really enjoy building those trusted, trust-based relationships. And I'm genuinely curious about people. Even when I was working in banking, like the deal and whatever was happening or whatever was going on in the market at the time, I loved, very interesting and gripping, but I enjoyed understanding why. And this is what kind of got me interested in leadership. Whether it was amongst my clients as fund managers or amongst the companies that were clients of the fund that we might have been making some kind of transaction for. I was really fascinated to see what were the differentiating components of what made a good leader. Why? And I would always be interested to see how other people responded, particularly to a CEO or a CFO that were, doing their rounds trying to sell an IPO, for example. Fascinating to see which people responded positively and well to certain people that displayed qualities and characteristics versus those that didn't. Because ultimately, every investor is answering that question, can I back this girl guy? And,
Mm.
all these subtle things that we do when we're sizing somebody up to work out reliable, are they good at what they do? Can they deliver this? They solve problems? And I actually place in the context of large sums of money, my faith in this person delivering this outcome. So those things kind of still apply to what I do because I'm still looking at that in terms of, as executives that have that gravitas and have that ability to deliver. And it always comes down to self awareness, always
Mm.
those that actually have their measure, that know themselves well, that know what they can promise, those that I really hope it, a real
Mm.
difference between kind of, I hope this sounds good, but inwardly there's not this really rock solid foundation versus those that are coming from such a solid place of kind of knowing what they can deliver, even within a very fluid external environment.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that those lessons that you take and are really cool and that you take them into your personal life now, I think is amazing.